going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're in the garage continuing to work on my ZL1. In the last video I went ahead and explained kind of what happened with the car. If you didn't see that, essentially I was out on the highway. I was driving a bit spirited and I went to change gears. I think it was second to third or third to fourth, and the clutch wouldn't disengage. Pedal kind of felt very, very light. Got the car towed. I ended up replacing the master cylinder as that's the easiest thing to do first. That did not fix the issue. So the very next thing to do is, of course, went on Tick Performance website, ordered a new slave cylinder and an upgraded brace or support, whatever this thing is called. So I'll be installing that on this guy. And then while I was in there, because I don't know what the issue is, and there could be a issue with the clutch or the pressure plate, I figured I'll go ahead and swap this out now. If there's no issues with the clutch, I'm already there. I'm gonna go ahead and do that. I also have the pilot bearing that I'm also gonna be doing as well. I don't have it here, but I'm going to do all this all at once in anticipation for some other upgrades that I'm going to be doing to the car very, very shortly. One of them in that box, but we're not going to focus on that now. For today, what we are focusing on is getting the transmission out, getting the clutch in, getting the transmission in, and putting everything together. So to get to that point, what you are going to have to do, and let me go ahead and get a light here, walk you guys through here real quick, just so you can see what I've done so far. All right, so inside the car, there's not much to do, but what you will have to do is take off this bezel. So basically to take it off, I just started prying with my fingers here, and all these clips come out. It is connected over here with the wire. So you're gonna have to kind of set it off to the side. Doesn't really matter because this part's the part that's going down, nothing else. And then to get the boot off, so obviously you'll have the shifter on there to boot off. The boot actually locks into here, so there's a chrome piece that you have to twist like you're unscrewing or whatever, loosening up a bottle cap, I guess is the best way. It'll pop off, and then you'll be able to access this screw, which is what just fell down. But this screw is what you'll undo, and shifter slides off, boot comes off. After that, everything else is under the car. I feel like I'm missing something. Oh, I'm sorry. There's a plastic piece that's around the boot. I think it's like 4 screws you're going to have to do. I mean, it's going to be fairly self-explanatory, but what you want to do is you want to make sure that this can come down. Don't forget about this part, because if we go to lower the transmission, everything's connected. Obviously, something's going to have to give, and you're going to tear up a bunch of stuff. So take care of this first before you get dirty. It's probably 5 minutes worth of work, and then we head under the car. All right, so here we are under the car. I guess I'll just go over this real quick. So the first thing you're going to do is take off the exhaust. So there'll be 2 clamps here, and then looking back down that way, there's some hangers down there that you're going to have to basically slide the exhaust off of. If you still have your stock, well, even if you don't have your stock, I think you still put those vacuum hoses on for the flaps. Undo those, basically pull the entire exhaust back, support the front end of it this way, support it so it doesn't drop, pull it back, and the exhaust comes out. The very next thing you're gonna have to do is undo these cooler lines. These are lines that run from the rear diff up this way, which we're gonna disconnect those as well. But essentially, you undo those, set them off to the side, and then there will be a heat shield here that you're gonna have to take off, and then you take off the drive shaft. All right, so all this stuff, didn't really film it because it's fairly self-explanatory. I mean, when you look at it, the heat shield has like 6 screws maybe. Here's one of them. Take those off. The drive shaft, you have these guys here, and then you have like a loop that holds it up, or not a loop. This is where I think the carrier bearing is, if I remember correctly. Yep. it's bolted here. I mean, it's very self-explanatory. The only thing I would recommend is marking where, like marking the position of your drive shaft. So if you look, I don't know if you can probably can't tell on video, maybe you can. I marked this loop here with a black marker, and then I marked the drive shaft, so that part of the drive shaft goes back in this hole, just in case there's any balancing issues. I avoid those by putting them here. Now, the very next thing, once you get all that done, the very next thing you got to do is disconnect or unscrew these guys here, and then pull this down. All right, and then after that, which is what I'm going to be doing now, is you have to start disconnecting these transmission lines. And for anybody that's worked on a GM, these things, these clips struck the fear of God in us, because when you take that thing off, if it goes flying, it's like a 10mm socket on steroids. You simply cannot find those things. So a little bit nervous about that, but I'll get those off. I'm sure I won't have an issue. Little advice: these lines here are tight. There is a like a brace over here that holds these lines to the engine. It's a 10mm bolt. I'm going to take that off as well, so we can basically move these aside, and then we're going to undo these bolts here. I think there's 6 of them. 1, 2, and then 2 more over here, 2 more down this way. Well, we're gonna undo them by like an inch or 2. We just need enough space to get up into the bolts up top. All the other ones are fairly easy to get to. Then we're gonna go ahead, jump over to this brace here, slowly lower the brace, get a transmission jack under here, and we are off and running. The last thing, yeah, don't worry about this, I'm going to redo this wrap. But the last thing is also take out your O2 sensors, give you a little bit of space to work on, and that's basically all that you got to do to get to the clutch. So I'll go ahead and of course, don't forget to disconnect this up here. But once I take everything off, I'll show you guys what everything looks like here, and then go right into the clutch installation. Got the transmission out. Ultimately, you're going to struggle a little bit here, but not too bad. I'll go over which bolts are probably the hardest. That one up there, you have a bolt up there. You have a bolt over here. You have a bolt over here. Here, 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 and there. The 2 toughest ones for me were that one up there and that one right there. That one right there was probably toughest because you have this loom here, and ultimately what you're gonna have to do is pop it off the head and move it all the way to the side just to get to that bolt. That one over there is just a length. Trying to get to it, kind of a pain, but not horrible, just not very pleasant. So the transmission is behind me here, and just a quick inspection, I have clutch parts in here, so I can take a wild guess and see what happened. I don't know if you can see that or not, but I can take a wild guess and say what happened, but I'm gonna find that out. I'm gonna remove this clutch, put the new one on, slap everything back together. One thing I don't like about all this is I'm not really sure, or I don't have a good way of stopping all this fluid from coming out. You're basically at the mercy of just letting it all drain out of the hoses. I tried to cover them with like little inserts, with like little plastic, rubber. Nothing really worked, so I just let them drain out, and then I'll just refill the reservoir and then the transmission fluid whenever I'm done. Not that big of a deal. I wanted to make this for you guys just to make sure you guys are paying attention to this when you're looking to put your twin disc on. When I took off the pressure plate from my clutch, this is a McLeod RXT. I took the pressure plate off. I took the friction plate off, the floater plate, and then the last friction plate. I took them off backwards, or laid them down backwards. That way when I put them back on, I'll know which way they go. Plus they're labeled, so that's pretty much squared away. The one thing you got to pay attention to are these nuts and spacers here for the floater plate. So don't simply remove these and set them aside, because if you forget one of these, it's gonna be disastrous. So I don't know, I didn't measure if any of these spacers are different sizes. However, I just put the locking washer and the nut right back on where it was. That way when I installed the flywheel, I'll go ahead and place the friction plate on, place the floater plate on, and the same nut and locking washer will go back on with the spacer behind it. That way it's not any different than how McLeod put it together and spaced it out. And they're very clear in their instructions as well, that these spacers and whatnot are there to allow it to work within the tolerances of your stock hydraulic slave cylinder and the clearances and whatnot. So I got the rear main done. I got the bearing, the pilot bearing taken care of. I'm going to go ahead and place this on, get the clutch on, do the slave cylinder, and then toss the transmission back in. Okay, here we are with the finished product. Got the RXT mounted. Note the alignment marks. One thing you guys may want to do is put the mark on the outside of the flywheel, because when you clean the flywheel, as you always should with brake cleaner before you assemble the clutch, by the way, all surfaces should be cleaned with the brake cleaner. The brake cleaner will take that right off. So usually put a mark on the outside. That way if I do accidentally clean it off, I know where it's at. So put all this together. All the spacers are in there as they should be. Got the slave cylinder in there. Got the upgraded, you can't see it, but got the bearing support, bearing release support already installed. I did a short on that on my channel. You can see that there. It takes like 10 seconds to do. One thing that was kind of annoying is to get it disconnected here, you have to come around and undo this bolt right here, which you have to fight with this line up here. So that was kind of annoying, but not horrible. That's basically it. Now the transmission is going to go back in. One thing, I don't know if I mentioned to you guys in a last video or previously, but when you're dropping the subframe, make sure you disconnect these ride height linkages to the sensors. They will not reach. Alright, and you, in my opinion, you have to have this here, because you physically can't get the transmission out. It hits the transmission tunnel here. So make sure you disconnect that, get a support, and then when you put it back together, lift it up as soon as possible, because it does place stress on the rest of the components out there. So I'm going to go ahead and get this assembled, get the transmission back in, and get this thing lifted up as soon as possible. And then got to bleed the clutch and go from there. Now, as you see, I opted to not get the speed bleeder. In my opinion, this isn't horrible. You can just basically reach up there with a 10mm or 8mm, whatever it is, and you basically just crack it open, release the pressure, and tighten it. Nothing like the Corvette, which is 10 times harder than this. I got the speed bleeder there, but I did this 10-15 times before I ordered a new one of these, thinking that it was the slave cylinder. And it wasn't that difficult, as long as you have a second person. If you don't have well, even if you have a second person, I think even with the speed bleeder, you're gonna have a hard time not needing a second person. So, all right, should be coming back together here shortly. With the transmission back on, the exhaust is back in. I wanted to show you guys what it looks like when you have to take that exhaust apart. Now, mine doesn't have the cats here, but yours would have the cats here. This exhaust is stock, and basically when you follow it down this way, you got hangers here, and then you also have a hanger here, well, two hangers here, and then you also have two hangers there. And really what you're looking to do is, when you're taking these things off, you gotta support it down there. So when you undo it down there, you gotta drop it a little bit, support it, so you can basically move the entire thing towards you and unhook it. You also have to undo this cross member right here. Other than that, that's basically it. I mean, it basically floats there, so that's it. Fairly easy to put this thing back in. So I guess even if you wanted to put in a exhaust at this time, probably wouldn't be a bad idea. And then don't forget to put these things on if you care about how loud your car is. Well guys, that's it for the video. As you guys can see, the clutch is back in the car, and the car is mobile, and it is able to move on its own. So I believe that is a success. If you guys like this type of content, subscribe and like, and I'll see you guys in the next video.